great webinar organized by the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry in conjunction with the Bank of Industry. It's my pleasure on behalf of the President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mrs. Tokima Bogunje, to please welcome all of you. As we all know that the theme for this webinar is accessing BOI funding. And we have special guests here present. I would like to run through the introduction list and then we move to the core business of today's event. It's my pleasure to welcome the President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the chief host of today's webinar, in the person of Mrs. Tokima Bogunje, the 23rd President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Madam President, you're welcome. Good to have you.
Good morning, everyone.
Thank you very much. Also, we have here present Mr. Kayode Peter, the MD of Bank of Industry. I am very sure is ably represented this morning. Also would like to welcome Mrs. Betsy Obaseki, Divisional Head of Business Development Group. Good to have you. You're welcome. It's also my pleasure to welcome Mr. Obina Anyang. Mr. Obina Anyang is the chairman of the Financial Services Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And next, we have our distinguished panelist for today's event in the person of Mr. Obaro Osa, Divisional Head, SME South. Good to have you, Mr. Osa.
Good morning. Good morning to everybody. It's good to have you. I'm happy that I'm here with all of you. Good morning.
Thank you very much for being part of today's event. Next, we have Mr. Femi Shitu. Mr. Femi Shitu is Group Head, Engineering and Technology. Good to have you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having us.
Next, we have Mrs. Aderonke Akinlui, Deputy Head, Business Development. Good to have you, madam.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here.
And next, I have Mr. Uche Unwachuku, is the manager in charge of the Lagos State Office in Ikeja. You're welcome, sir. Also, we have officers and members of council of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry here present, colleagues who are on the platform with us this morning. I'm referring to the head of membership, Ms. Sheung Oshoni, and the membership relations officer, Mrs. Bukola Popola. Good to have both of you this morning. And next, without wasting your time and without much ado, it's my pleasure to welcome the President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mrs. Tokima Bogunje, to please give our opening remarks. Madam President, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Dr. Alabi. Mr. Kayode Peter, Managing Director, CEO of the Bank of Industry, Mrs. Mojisola Bakare, Vice President, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mrs. Betsy Obaseki, Divisional Head, Business Development Group of the Bank of Industry, Mrs. Aderonke Akinlui, Deputy Head, Business Development, Bank of Industry, Mr. Obina Anyang, Chairman of our Financial Services Group, officers and members of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome everyone to this event with the theme Funding Opportunities for Businesses in the Bank of Industry. As the theme suggests, this program aims to facilitate conversations on the various funding opportunities within the purview of the Bank of Industry available to members of the Nigerian business community. This session will give insights into the numerous funding opportunities offered by BOI and how you can take advantage of these opportunities. Our core mandate at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry is to promote and protect the interests of our members and that of the broader business community through effective facilitation of business opportunities for our members and non-members alike. We interface with local and international development finance institutions, as well as commercial banks on behalf of our members. We have had a series of discussions with institutions such as the Bank of Industry, the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Development Bank of Nigeria, the Nigeria Export-Import Bank, and the United States Development Finance Corporation, amongst others. As you may be aware, limited access to funding is one of the major constraints facing businesses, especially SMEs. According to a report by PricewaterhouseCoopers, Nigerian SMEs have a funding gap of about 617 billion naira as of 2019. Distinguished participants, evidence has shown that the majority of Nigerian SMEs have not significantly benefited from available financing opportunities in the country. This could be attributed to the following factors: lack of information on the part of businesses about the funding schemes that are offered by various institutions, the inability to meet requirements for funding, the contravening of application guidelines, the submission of wrong or outdated documents such as tax certificates, financial reports, CAC registration certificates, etc., poor recording, and poor credit history owing from failure to repay previous loans prevents business owners from accessing other loans. A combination of one or more of these factors accounts for the challenges of access to credit by SMEs. We are delighted to have the Bank of Industry present their funding propositions to participants at this event. And I encourage us to all pay rapt attention and feel free to ask questions during the question and answer session. So once again, I welcome us all to this session with the Bank of Industry. Thank you all for listening, and let's have a great event. Thank you very much. Dr. Alabi.
Thank you very much, Madam President, for that wonderful direct presentation as opening remarks. Next, we will move straight to the business of the day, and we have presentations to be made by our panelists before we now then move to panel discussion. First, well, it has been said that ladies first. Some believe after men, but today it will actually be ladies first. So it's my pleasure to welcome Mrs. Aderonke Akinloye, Deputy Head, Business Development, to give us a presentation first. Over to you, Mrs. Akinloye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alabi, for that wonderful introduction. I will go straight to my slides. I'll be sharing my screen in a moment. Can we all see the screen?
Yes, very clearly.
Fantastic. So thank you so much again for joining this session. We're glad that you were able to make time to join us. And we're at BOI, we're excited to be here because this is why we do what we do for people like you. And so in terms of the outline for our presentation, it's a very brief one because we just want to make sure that you get the information that you need to take the decisions and to access the funding your business needs. So it comes in three parts. So we're basically just going to tell you a bit about BOI and what we do, and we'll launch straight into how to access BOI funding. And then thereafter, we have a poll, a set of questions I would like you to answer for us, and the Q&A. The presentation will be taken by myself and my colleagues, and as we go along, we will introduce one another. So I will start and then hand over to the head of SME South Division. As has been introduced earlier, there's four of us on the call. I have myself, I have the head of SME South, Mr. Baro Osa, I have the head of Engineering and Technology, Mr. Femi Shitu, and the manager in charge of the Lagos State Office, Mr. Uche Chukwu, Umar Chukwu. I will start and then hand over to Mr. Obaro. So a bit about BOI. BOI has existed for about 62 years now. We're the largest, the oldest, and the most successful DFI in Nigeria. We started in 1959, incorporated as the Investment Company of Nigeria. Then we transformed into NIDB Nigerian Industrial Development Bank in 1964. And in 2001, we became BOI, Bank of Industry. We're one of the 15 agencies under the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. We are basically executing government's economic recovery and growth plan and the Nigerian Industrial Revolution Plan. And basically our mandate is in twofold: to provide funding and business advisory support for the establishment of small, medium and large-scale projects and enterprises. And we also exist for the expansion, diversification, rehabilitation and modernization of existing enterprises. How we do that is we want to also make sure that we're constantly creating development impact, and we're supporting projects that support job creation, import substitution, and poverty alleviation. And I'm sure you will agree with me, especially in the light of what happened last year, the COVID-19 pandemic. In terms of our vision in BOI, we aim and we plan to become Africa's leading development finance institution operating under global best practices. Our mission, the reason why we exist and the reason why we come to work every day, is to transform Nigeria's industrial sector by providing financial and business support services to enterprises. Our mandate, I mentioned it already in the previous slide. We are supported by a very strong board, and they are a key part of our success. We are regulated by the CBN, and also we have KPMG as our auditors. I'm sure this slide will be very interesting to you. So this basically shows our core and our emerging sectors. So in terms of the core sectors for BOI, we have the agro and the food processing sector. We have the oil and gas sector. We have the solid mineral sector, the healthcare and petrochemical sector, and we have engineering and technology. Now, there's some emerging sectors that are, developing that we also support. And of those, we have the creative industries, the renewable energy sector, education, supply chain and logistics, and also trade. Now, you may be wondering, if your sector is not listed on this slide, you may be wondering, what does that mean for me? So outside of all of these sectors, we would still support your business to the extent that we're buying plants and machinery for you, or we're providing some kind of working capital to support asset finance for you. So it doesn't matter if your sector is not listed on the slides, just talk to us and we'll be able to guide you accordingly. Now, in terms of our developmental strategy, the key factors that we consider, we always want to make sure that we provide relatively lower interest rates that are lower than the market, because we realize that this is a need that entrepreneurs have in Nigeria. And we are a development finance bank, Nigeria's development finance and biggest and foremost, financial institution. And so we just want to make sure that we're providing relatively lower interest rates so that your business can access the type of funding that can lead to development in the future. Again, we also want to make sure that we're providing innovative financing solutions for your business. We have an MSME focus. We also have teams that are dedicated to women and youth empowerment programs. We want to make sure that we're supporting projects that are creating forward and backward linkages in order to ensure integrated economic growth. We are also making sure that the projects that we finance are creating sustainability and societal impact, that all of our projects are creating jobs for people and also value creation. We also want to make sure that we are improving the quality of our exports, by financing companies who are exporting products out of Nigeria and thereby increasing foreign exchange for Nigeria. Also, we want to make sure that the projects that we support are environmentally friendly projects. Now, going to the next slide, talking about our business model. So we have primarily 3 business units. And through these 3 business units, we support all categories of enterprises. So it doesn't matter whether you're a micro enterprise, you're a small and medium enterprise, or a large enterprise. BOI is here for you. Now, for micro enterprises in BOI, we consider anyone who is borrowing less than 10 million or up to 10 million as a micro enterprise in BOI. Now, some of these businesses are formal, some of them are informal, some of them are cooperatives, some of them include, even artisans. And we have a variety of products targeted at the different categories of the customers, and we will discuss that in detail later on. So if you are needing up to 10 million in BOI, you are a micro enterprise. Now, we also have the SME division, the small and medium enterprises division, that is, the next level after micro enterprises. If you are needing anywhere from 10 million up to $1 billion in BOI, you are considered as an SME business. And these are for registered businesses, enterprises, limited liability companies. And how we service those enterprises is across our state offices. We have 28 states and 29 state offices. We have 2 state offices in Lagos because of the demand from Lagos. And then we have all our state offices spread across the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. And you can walk literally into any of our state offices and access BOI funding. As I mentioned earlier, this is for anyone who is needing between 10 million and 1 billion in loans. Then we have our large enterprises. These are large corporates who basically tend to control a significant portion of the market. And those are serviced primarily through our head office. Now, if you are needing anything over $1 billion if you come to BOI for over $1 billion, then you're considered as a large enterprise in BOI. Now, talking about the impact that we've made in the last 5 years, between 2015 and 2020, we have disbursed a total of 969.6 billion naira to various enterprises. We supported over 3 million enterprises, and we have also, we have also created 6.9 million jobs in the last 5 years, between 2050 and 2020. Another thing that we do in BOI, because we realize that at the MSME level, they have strong business plans, they're good entrepreneurs, but they don't have the financial savvy to be able to present or prepare bankable business plans. So to bridge that gap, what BOI did was to appoint SME consultants. We call them BDSPs, Business Development Service Providers. And those SME consultants help the bank in doing certain things. They help us to prospect for SMEs. So if you're an SME and you know that you cannot develop your business plan, you can actually check on our website. There are a couple of BDSPs, over 330 of them, who can help you develop the business plan. Now, the good part about what we do is that we limit what the BDSPs can charge you. At best, they can charge you, the highest amount they can charge you is 250,000 naira. And if your BDSP is successful in getting you a loan approval in BOI, BOI will actually pay that BDSP on your behalf. That's another way we intervene, by providing business advisory support for our SMEs, especially in the micro and the SME space. And then the other thing that we recruit the BDSPs for, they not only help you with your business plans and your documentation, we expect them to also provide entrepreneurship training as is required for each entrepreneur. And we have them across the whole country. We have 3 categories of BDSPs. We have those who are localized in specific states. We have those who cover regions, and we have national BDSPs who have the spread, which means that no matter where you are in Nigeria, you can literally reach out to them and they will have an office that is close to you. And the last slide, which I'll be presenting today, is just to show us the state offices that we have across Nigeria. As I mentioned, we actually have 28 states, but 29 locations. So we have 2 in Lagos, we have one in Ikeja and another one in Lekki. And then we have the rest of them all across, equally spread across the geopolitical regions of Nigeria. And at this point, I will hand over to Mr. Barrow, the head of SME South, to just lead us into some of the perceptions that we have heard about BOI. Mr. Barrow, over to you.
Thank you, Madam Ronke. Thanks a lot. Let me also thank the president of LCCI, who gave the opening remark. She spoke like a banker. because she was talking about credit history of companies, issues of NPL, issues of skills, and knowledge, and of course the issue of integrity and character, which actually underlines the 5 C's of credit. So I will just build on what Ronke has said to look at issue of perception. There is a thin wall between perception and reality. Some people say that perception is everything. Others say that perception at times can be wrong. But the truth of the matter is that perceptions run faster. So, but we have a responsibility as an institution to debunk perceptions that are not correct. So I want to talk about some of the perceptions that we hear outside, which I'm sure LCCI and all the organized private sectors members also hear some of these stories. For instance, they tell us that you cannot access funding from the bank unless you know somebody. Now, 5-6 years ago, we have less than 10 state offices across the Federation. Today, we have about 29. And I can tell you for free that before the end of next year, we might be present in each of the states of the Federation. Where are we expanding? We're expanding because we want to reach people, want to get closer to people, and also support their businesses. I also say that LCCI, you've been working with BOI for so many years. When I was in Lagos, I had a lot of interaction with LCCI. To respond to this perception, I dare say that any of you listen to me, you can visit our website, the BOI website, www.boi.ng. All our product lines, the requirements, what you need to do are all on our website. Now, we make that available to everybody because we want people to access information freely. So if you go there and you have some information, you're not too sure, you're not too clear, you can then visit any of our state offices physically to further make the inquiry. Because we have a standardized procedure, we have a standardized checklist, it doesn't matter where you are coming from, whether you are visiting an office in Lagos or visit any of our offices in the East or visit any of our offices in North Central, the requirements are the same. So the perception that you need to know somebody to access a loan from BOI is not correct. You can give us a trial so that I'm sure a trial will convince you. 2, we are an ethical institution because we're a bank. You don't need to pay a kobo to anybody. None of our staff. In fact, if we hear it, if staff is sanctioned, you are to come into the institution as a Nigerian who want to create jobs for our people, which is a core part of our core mandate. Our mandate is not really about profitability, but our mandate is about impact. How many jobs can be created? How many business can be developed? How many people can be employed? How many wealth can be created by people? How many of our broad agro-industrial base that God gave to us can be developed and processed to help humanity and create food and wealth for people? So in doing that, you just come to the bank and make your inquiry, discuss your business, get the advice, take the checklist, go back and do your business plan and submit. Please don't engage in anything like you're paying somebody to do this job. You feel very free. On our website, all the state managers, all the regional managers, even myself as the divisional head, our numbers, our telephone numbers are there. So if you interact or contact any of the state offices and somebody asking you to bring money or something, please feel free to call us. And if you call me or call the state managers or regional managers, I can assure you the person will be disciplined. So you don't need to pay anybody to seek funding. The funds are provided by government. We also seek funding from international multilateral agencies, but the funds are meant to grow Nigeria. If we keep the money with us, we cannot achieve our mandate. So it's in our interest, self-interest, that you should come forward. Let's discuss your business ideas. Now, you say your processing will take up to a year. I acknowledge that the process has been very slow, but we are aware of the challenges and we are addressing head on. So there were a lot of improvement in our processes. Today we have standardized SLAs for both the micro lending and SME space, even up to large enterprises. Our meeting period has been shortened. Before now, you cannot predict when there will likely be a meeting, but today I can tell you, if you are borrowing up to 10 million naira, in fact, this individual approval. So whether Saturday, Sundays, the system is running and we are approving and we are declining and getting back to the customer. But for those borrowing between 10 million and 100 million, Every month there's a committee meeting where the credits are considered. And for those borrowing up to $1 billion, okay, because up to 100 million is MICC, then between 100 million and $1 billion is EMC. EMC also meets regularly once in a month. So give and take, any request you make, if it's on a micro end up to micro side up to 10 million naira, within a month, you should get the feedback from us. And if you are borrowing above 10 million, if you request above 10 million, between 10 million and $1 billion, give and take within 2 months, you should hear from BOI. Our requirements are standardized. First, you must have a registered business because we don't lend to individuals. We don't lend to individuals. Okay, you're back again. Okay. Now, based on what Rokan said, we clearly define the area we are supporting. So we support manufacturing, but we also do a bit of trading because we have a relationship with Dangote that offers opportunity to do trading. We also do on-lending schemes, lending through commercial banks and microfinance banks to support businesses. And also, we have the micro enterprise area, which Ronke also mentioned, talked about earlier, where we also provide funding at lower values. So people looking for 300,000, 1 million, 2 million, we have schemes within that space to cater for them. Okay. Then we support both startups and of course, what they call brownfields. Startups are businesses just taking off. So you have a smart idea or you have an experience in a specific industry, you now want to launch as an entrepreneur to set up your own business. So for instance, you work in a bakery for 10 years. Within that 10 years, you worked across all the areas of bakery business. So you understand the action from the beginning to the end. You now want to come and set up your own business. Yes, the business might be new, but you have a knowledge. So we're going to look at that skill on the basis of that lend to you. In the same vein, for an existing bakery, you want to expand that operation, we can also support you in the expansion scheme. Next slide, please. Okay, for the general loan requirements, one, you must be incorporated. We don't lend to individuals. You must either have an enterprise or a cooperative or a limited liability company. It is that company that we are giving money to, not you as the chief promoter. So that company must have an address. That company must be registered to an object clause. That company must have the MEMAT, Memorandum of Article of Association, must have the legal registration documents, normally issued by CAC, who is the government organ responsible for registering companies, either limited liability or enterprises. Then, of course, we need to have a business plan. Your idea to do business, we cannot be discussing it verbally. You have to put that in writing. In writing means a business plan. So you talk about what you want to do, you talk about how you want to do it, you look at the production process, look at the industry you're looking at, who are the competitors, what is different, what new are you at the industry, okay? When you finish your production, which market are you going to sell it? What is your plan to reach the market? All that will be compressed in a business plan. Then in finance too, the projection, your capital projection, even if I sleep for 5 years, we want to look at how you're projecting finance conservatively. So that we sure I won't give you money, the revenue will come in line with the projection and you can repay back the facility. Of course, even buy equipment, you need to have pro forma invoice. Pro forma invoice means a quotation from a supplier of an item. Okay, so you want to buy a generator, you go to Meccano. Meccano gives you an invoice. That invoice is pro forma because you've not bought it. It is when you buy, it now gives a commercial invoice. So pro forma is a mere quotation, but that helps us as a bank. When you give it to us, we have a data, we can confirm whether the price is correct, etc., etc. But it also helps us in arriving at the actual value of what you need to do the business. Of course, raw materials. Because we are supporting production, it means that for the business to run on a continuous basis, there must be constant supply of raw materials. So we're interested in knowing, for instance, you want to have a bakery, you want to know where will you get your sugar from? Where will you get your flour from? On a constant basis. If you are doing cassava processing, you want to be sure where will the cassava come from? Who has the plantation? Do you have an arrangement with them? If you are doing PKO, we want to know where you're going to get your palm kernel from, where you're going to get your palm seed from. Do you have a farm or are you collaborating with those who have a farm so that you have an arrangement where they can actually do for you and you buy from them to do your production? Because if you don't have raw materials, you cannot produce anything. So the raw material source coming in the quantity and when you need it is also very relevant in our consideration. Then financials, audited financials. Yes, requirement is 3 years, but if you have business not over 3 years, since we support startup, we can have the management account, okay? We can have a start-up position We analyze it, look at the history, look at the CV, look at the competence of the person, look at the skill it has, we can also proceed. But for existing businesses, we expect that you should have financial because we follow best practice. You must have a record of accounts, separate your personal finance from the business account, have an account in the commercial bank, make sure your proceeds go to that account, and then you do annual audit of that report. It is that report that guides us. It also helps you because that ensures corporate governance. It ensures that there's a separation between the managers of the business and the business on its own. So the business cannot leave us, even as we're trying to create job for our people. Then, of course, the bank statement, of course, I said that earlier, how that kind of bank must go to a bank statement. Declare your outstanding liabilities, i.e., if you are owing any individual, maybe you are owing a microfinance bank, you are owing another commercial bank, please disclose. Like Madam said, character, full disclosure, integrity are basics of banking. If you don't disclose, it's going to be difficult for us to make a very good judgment. You can't go and see a doctor and you lie to a doctor. He'll give a wrong prescription. You tell the doctor, what is the problem? The doctor is there. Be sure, believe in the process. So if you come to us, tell her what the issues are. If you cannot deal now, we'll guide you. It's okay, you know what? This is not too good. This is not too good. You go back within 6 months, try and put this in place, try and put this in place, then you come back again. We're here. The bank has been around for more than 60 years. So if you don't have what they require with me today, it doesn't mean that's the end of the story. You can come, we'll have a conversation, we'll give you the checklist. You can say, okay, I have 1 to 5. I don't have 6 to 10. Then you go back, you go and prepare 6 to 10, then you come back again and they apply. So we are there and we are here in Nigeria for good because we're in Nigeria, federal government owned businesses. Technical agreement, management agreement, machinery supply, etc. This depends on the nature of your business. For the small scale businesses, these are not serious issues. But for large scale operation, you may have a technical agreement. For instance, your supplier of a machinery is in Japan or coming from India, okay? And the machinery is so technical to operate. And you don't want to just buy and they bring to Nigeria and the next day the machine does not work. So you cannot have a technical agreement in place, so that they can come support you, train your people, work with you to ensure that you create internal and local capacity to ensure that the business runs even when the foreigners have gone back. In the issue of collateral, if you are borrowing below 10 million, you do not need to give the Bank of Industry collateral. That decision was reached about 4 or 5 years ago because we want to support the micro, small, and medium enterprises. And we realize that the bulk of Nigerians doing businesses, what they need in terms of financing is actually below 10 million. So many of the bank 3, 4, 5 years ago took the decision that, okay, for those borrowing below 10 million, what we need from you are 2 external guarantors. 2 external guarantors who will guarantee, who knows you. They can be your classmate, they can be your former worker, they can be your former employer, they can be judges, they can be lawyers, they can be accountants, they can be engineers, they can be bankers, or people work in reputable corporate environments who will just sign the paper for you that, yeah, I know him, I can vouch for him. With that, and then with the proper invoices and the business plan, your facility can be processed. However, if you are looking for above 10 million, after above 10 million up to 1 billion, then the following collateral requirements becomes required by the bank. 1, a bank guarantee from a commercial bank where you normally have an account for which all your revenue proceeds go to that bank account. The second option is have a legal mortgage. A legal mortgage is that you have a property which have a CFO granted by respective state government, depending on the state where your business is located, okay? And the property will then be valued by one of the bank's accredited valuers. And on the basis of that valuation, we'll confirm that it's not a combad, i.e., you've not have given that property to another bank as collateral for your lending, for taking money from them. On the strength of that, we can give you money based on that collateral. They also inside what we do all outside the venture, especially for brownfield. You've been in operation before, so you have machineries, you have buildings, you have properties on ground. We can have an all asset debenture as a collateral for the purpose of advancing further lending to you as an institution. Then for below 10 million, I've said it before, personal guarantees. So this one, you don't give us any property, no CFO, no legal mortgage, no all asset debenture, no bank guarantee. 2 personal guarantors. The only thing is that what we are funding, we have a legal agreement that actually takes what we are funding to you as part of the cover for our borrowing. And under this category 2, you are also required to deposit about 10% of the value of the facility you are seeking in an interest-bearing account with a microfinance bank, what we call BOI Microfinance Bank, which also in Lagos. Pricing, you can't get it cheaper than a BOI in Nigeria today. We offer two categories of facilities, both term loan and working capital. Now for term loan, i.e., these are facilities granted to buy assets, visible assets, which can be a plant and machinery, which can be a generator, which can be a transformer, which can be any equipment you need to generate your business. For that category, okay, our interest rate ranges between 5 to 10%, depending on the product you are looking at. But for BOI money, it's generally about 10%. And 10% per annum, not 10% flat. So if you look at it, and we can give you money up to 5 years, it is far, far cheaper. You can't get anywhere as cheap as that. For working capital loan, i.e., money used to buy raw materials, the definition of capital in BOI is fairly different from that of commercial bank. So we're not going to give you money to pay rent. We will not give you money to pay salary. We will not give you money to buy diesel or to buy fuel to run your operation. No. We ever give you money to buy raw materials. So if you're into bakery business, we can give you money to buy flour. We can give money to buy sugar. If you are doing garri processing, we can give money to buy cassava tubers, so that you have farmers, when they uproot, they can sell to you. But we will not give you money to go and buy diesel to run your operation. No, we don't do that one within BOI structure. The only time we do that is under the youth programs, where because they are young people, type from universities, because we have two youth programs we call Jeff and ESP. Under those platforms, we do everything because they are very young people who are at university who need to get themselves feet on ground. So for them, we pay rent for them, we finance everything. But under the normal micro lending, we don't support all the rent payment and salary payments. Okay. Then the appraisal fee for such borrowing, interest rate for working capital is about 12.5%. However, because of what happened last year or what happened under the pandemic, the manager of the bank, in responding to the environment, what we also did was to actually reduce interest rate by 2% across board. So for facilities that are going for 10%, we are currently charging 8%. Our facilities that go for 12.5%, we are currently charging 10.5%. So there's a downward reduction in interest across board, 2%. We did that last year. We've also done it this year. And I think the current regime will run till March, April next year. Then depending on what's happening in the environment, management will not decide whether to now go back to a normal 10% or 12%, or still continue running at such discounted rates. Appraisal fee is 1%, but in some products, you don't even have appraisal fees. In some products, appraisal fee is 0.5%. Commitment fee is 1% generally, but there are some specific products. If you look at Ronke's presentation, you see have some specific products. So those specific products, they have a specific requirement. For instance, the agro mechanization is 9% per annum, even though our standard lending is 10%. So for specific products, the rate might differ, but differ not higher, they're actually lower. So it's important that you come to our offices and we can have some conversation around it. Monetary fee is 0.125% on the outstanding loan balance, i.e., it's not on the facility value. So if I give a facility of 5 million and a facility of 5 years, and you paid up to 3 years, and the balance facility on pays at 1.5 million, the 0.125% is charged on the 1.25, not on the 5 million that was the initial facility value. Now, if for any reason there's challenges in the facility, because we're a DFI, a development finance institution, we work with you to restructure the facility. We restructure the facility in terms of maybe giving you more time, maybe deferring moratorium period, etc. Okay, and that restructuring, we actually charge a small fee. There's some that is not here, initial moratorium, but it should actually come out.
Okay, we'll just wait for Mr. Barrett to come back. I think there's a minor
You can't hear me?
Now we can hear you. Thank you.
Fine.
Okay, it's back.
So moratorium period is basically a period where you don't expect to repay the principal, you only service the facility given to you. So it is designed to enable businesses settle down for full commercial production and operation. So for instance, we know that when you set up a business, it's going to take a while to develop the market. It's going to take a while to develop your clientele base. It's going to take a while for revenue level to rise. So that period, that little period, is to allow you settle down, you produce, you test the market, you are repeat business, so your customer base will expand to a level you can now start repaying the principal. And we do that between 6 to 12 months. Statutory fees are actually government. These are government, because we're a government agency. We ensure that all our customers actually comply with whatever the government is saying. So things like fees that are rates, that you need to pay to government, we do not compromise in that. Okay, I don't know whether you can hear me. I've lost you guys. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. I've moved to the next slide.
Okay, fine. So general requirements, I've talked about business on registered enterprise limited liability company or cooperative. Where to apply? You can visit our website. You can go to any of our state offices, 29 states that spread across the federation. You can also come to our head office, either in Lagos or Abuja. I'm in head office in Marina. So anywhere, any contact point we do in terms of applications. And you have our numbers on the website. You can call anybody, make any inquiry. You get a response almost immediately to enable you actually approach the bank and do business. Prayer approval requirements. That is a checklist that, of course, you can see in our website, and if you visit any of our offices, it will be given to you. We took time to develop it, so it's fairly standardized, and it's being reviewed from time to time. It just ensure that we continue to improve on our service and work on SLAs, service level agreement, so that we can serve our customers better. So the BOI of today is not the BOI 4 years ago, and the BOI of today will not be BOI 5 years from now, because we are watching the system as the environment is changing. We are also changing to align our service and structures and processes in line with modernity, and we'll continue to do that. Okay. Now, interest rate and ancillary fees, you can also see that in our website. I'm actually trying to explain that. Okay, and then the types of facilities and the limits and how long it takes for us to get that done for you is actually also here. Loan application approval processing timelines. So that you can also take to the bank. Next slide, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Barrow, for that.
Okay, that is fine. So I want to thank all of you for this unique opportunity, and we'll look forward to more collaboration between the bank and the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I will then hand over to my colleague, Uche, the State Manager, Lagos Office, to continue from this point. Thank you very much and have a very good day. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Barrow. Thank you for that insightful presentation. Actually, Mr. Femi Shitu is next, so I will hand over to Mr. Femi Shitu, who will take us through selected BOI loan products, and then we'll hand over to Mr. Uche Chukwunwachukwu. Over to you, Femi.
Thank you so much, Ronke, and thank you, Mr. Obaro. I would like to thank everyone once again. As the presentations were ongoing, I decided to be, taking a look at the Q&A. Please, it has been very, very interesting, and I would like to encourage that we continue. So as the presentation is also going, you will find out that some of the questions that are being asked, we are talking through with what we have. So I have a few slides here to present to everyone that has to do with selected BOI loan products. Now, I also like to reiterate here that these are not exhaustive. We just decided to use some of these products. Like my colleagues have earlier said, we are kind of doing this to actually engender more inquiries so that when you come to our offices, to the head office, we'll be able to give you a plethora of all of our services. So on the first one, there is the Acro Beccanization product program. This target market is for cooperatives, associations, enterprises, and also limited liability companies. I've seen some questions asking about what we do for cooperatives and all that. We are not trying to crowd out anybody, but to make sure that the bank is available to everyone. Now, for this particular product, we have the purpose of short and medium-term loan to finance procurement and lease of various agricultural products. And the fund size is about 10 billion. And we have a single obligor limit. For micro enterprises, like has been said, all loans lower than 10 million naira. Small enterprises, you have between 10 and 50 million, and medium enterprise between 50 and 500 billion. The pricing is 9% per annum, with a 1% processing fee, a one-off charge, and also we do what we call a 1% credit risk guarantee fee. And then in terms of tenor, for short term, we have 2 years, and medium term 5 years. Now, our tenors are always inclusive of moratorium, just like Mr. Obaro has explained the moratorium period. And the moratorium period can cover between 6 months and 12 months for medium term loans. Now, we also have what we call the food and agro commodity processing products. This also has a target market of cooperatives, associations, enterprises, limited liability companies engaged in the value chain of agro commodity processing. We are also talking about aggregators, processors, packaging business, and distribution. And this purpose for this is also for items of plant and equipment, as well as working capital finance. The fund size for this is about 15 billion, and it can also be used for both term loans and working capital. And with the cooperative and enterprises, you can get up to 10 million maximum, and limited liability companies can get up to 200 million maximum. The pricing also here is 9%, and you have a 1% processing fee. And as in terms of the tenor, you have the 3 to 5 years, and with the moratorium also up to 12 months. And next slide. We also have what we call the commercialization of solar energy program. You all agree with me that in the climate that we have, abundance of sun, we shouldn't be having these issues of generating power. So the bank in its wisdom also has this program that has to do with the target market for homes and businesses, agribusiness, solid minerals. We also support developers, those that are into the business, who are providing solar solutions for residential estates, educational facilities, healthcare facilities. And also we do what we call on lend. We on lend to deposit money banks and also microfinance banks through our on lending schemes. The fund size is about 2 billion, but like we rightly said, kindly note that we do funding of above 2 billion. So in case you want to come alone, you want to come directly to the bank in terms of when you have large enterprise directorate, we also take care of this. And for these products, we have a direct lending of up to 100 million. In our on lending scheme for these products, we do between 20 million and 100 million through the MFBs. And for the DMBs, that's deposit money banks, we do a minimum of about 100 million and above. Now, the pricing is that for direct lending is 9% per annum for interest rates, payable at the end of every month or quarter, depending on how your loan is structured. There is the appraisal fee as mentioned, the commitment fee, and the quarterly monitoring fee. For the home lending, it is at 12% per annum interest rate, because we are doing this through the MFB, so they will also have their spread. And so the 12% spread at 6% will have a maximum of about 9%. Now, for this direct lending by BOI, we have a maximum of 5 years, inclusive of the moratorium period. And also we have the moratorium of about 3 to 6 months on principal repayment on existing business. We also do for on lending. And for the moratorium, as we have said, 6 to 12 months. Next slide. Now, also, there is one we call the MSME distributor finance product. And this is the target market for distribution intermediary companies that have the capability and the enablement to manage activities of whether you are a retailer or wholesaler, a chain store, a micro business. We actually try to do this through technology-driven platforms. Fund size about 10 billion. You have a single obligor limit of about 2 billion. It's 12% per annum, with the fees at the 0.5% flat processing, and then the commitment fee as well. You can also here you have a maximum of about 24 months, inclusive of the moratorium. Now for this, we have some eligibility criteria, which we'll say some of them here, and then if you are really interested, you can approach us with all of the information that we have provided earlier. So We are talking about companies must have a large network, and then the distribution company must also possess a digital platform. We really, for these kind of businesses, we want those that are actually using technology, and they must be willing and able to grant BOI viewing access to their back end for the technology platform so that we can monitor all BOI related activities. We also will require that they provide a record of their stock credits to their customers to include a number of stock. And then we also like to see your existing partnership agreements to ensure that everything is going as planned. Next slide. Now, there is also the agricultural value chain financing. This is targeted at aggregators who manage smallholder farms who have guaranteed offtake agreements, local processors or manufacturers who can also work directly or indirectly with farmer groups. The fund size here is about 7 billion, with single government can get up to 2 billion. The interest rate is 10%. The fees, processing fee and commitment fee is about 1%. There's an insurance premium, which is included in the principal and amortized over the loan tenure. The tenure is a maximum of 2 years to cover multiple planting cycles. And the eligibility criteria will be for farmers, must belong to cooperatives and managed by structured aggregators. And then farmers must also be tied to guaranteed offtake agreements. At least this will actually guarantee that there is a market. Now we have what we also have, because you know that if you take a look at the Nigerian population, we are also very particular about our youth. So we have the Youth Ignite for youth entrepreneurs, 20, 40 years. Yes, we will take you as a youth at 40 years, so there's no problem. The fund size is also about 10 billion. And we are looking at, we do the, for MSBs that wants to participate, this has to be 20% of our PDF share capital, while the ultimate beneficiary can get up to 500,000 naira. Now the pricing is at 5% per annum to the MFBs and 9% to the ultimate beneficiaries. There's a 1% processing fee, and we have up to 21 months inclusive of 3 months moratorium. And the moratorium is about 3 months. Coming to us, we will do all this and explain this as you meet with us. Now, we also have what we call the light manufacturing. This will include products, that does not include heavy machinery. So we are looking at target markets of those in blocks, interlocking, ceramics, chemicals, paints, recycling, roofing sheets, soaps, digital printing, doors and windows. The purpose is also to get acquisition of plant and equipment, utilities, and also for working capital. This is about 10 billion in fund size, and single obligor limit, both time and worker should not exceed about 200 million. The pricing is 9%. There's a 1% processing fee, and the term loan is about 3 to 5 years with working capital up to 3 years. We have the moratorium, like I said, up to 12 months, and it is subject to your implementation timelines. So, like I said, these are not exhaustive, but these are the things that we would like to put forward. And please feel free, as we have said, that to please come for more inquiries. We are there for you. I would now like to hand over to my colleague, Uche Nwachukwu, to continue with the other BOI products. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Femi. All right. Thank you, Femi. So Femi just talked about some of our loan products at BOI. But at BOI, other than the funds we disburse ourselves, we also have some people that bring external funds to BOI and hope that we should help them disburse to qualified individuals. So these funds are classified under either managed funds or matching funds. Matching funds are basically individuals, be it state governments or private individuals and companies that bring in money, and BOI basically matches the funds and disburses it to qualified individuals. For the matching funds, we have two here. The first one is pretty much the matching funds that we do with state governments. We have our presence in over 29 states of the country, and 24 of those states actually have matching funds with us. Up on your screen, you can see the list of all the states that have matching funds with us. What's the advantage of this matching fund? Those states have looked internally and they've seen the industries that they have competitive advantage for. So they bring funds and motivate their residents to approach BOI to access these funds in order to be able to get the advantages associated with financing in those particular industries. Now, single obligor limit for the matching fund at state level is about 50 million, and the interest rate varies between 5 to 10%, depending on the source of the funds and the percentage agreement, basically between the states and the BOI. And we can have the funds for up to 5 years, including up to 12 months moratorium. Other than states bringing funds to be disbursed through BOI, we also have another fund that Dangote makes available to be disbursed through BOI. It's called Distributors and Suppliers Financing Program. Although this program is currently being modified to make the operations better, but typically it follows the same process. It's available to pretty much distributors of fast-moving goods and those that are kind of backwardly integrated to operate at the various levels of the FMCG value chain. Some of the terms and conditions required include having a liquidity that is above at least 1.5, positive profitability, being a fast-moving product, as well as having a minimum coverage of at least one of the 6 states in the federation. The obligor limit is 10 million, and it cannot exceed 80% of your annual turnover. And the interest rate is at 5% per annum. Again, like my colleague said earlier, you really cannot get an interest rate better than what you be able to get at BOI. Next slide, please. So, other than the matching funds, we also have what we call the managed funds. Basically, these states when you just bring for us to manage and disburse through BOI for them. And one of such is the Nigerian Artisanal Small Scale Miners Finance Support Fund. This is done in collaboration with the Ministry of Mines, and the idea is to help support artisanal where they are predominant with finance to be able to procure machinery, help with working capital, and payment of some services that they might be needing to help drive this industry. The ministry has provided up to 2.5 billion for this fund. Now it's divided into two. First is the artisanal miners, and the second one is the small scale miners. For the artisanal miners, you cannot take more than 10 million actually. And your working capital in this should not be more than 1 million. However, cooperatives that have collateral can do a bit more than that. So although they recently removed some of the bottlenecks we've been getting with implementing this particular fund. For small scale miners, you can get up to 100 million, in financing. The interest rate is just 5%. And be able to get, you also have to pay at least 0.5% processing fee. You can as well get term loan and as well as working capital. For the term loan, you can get maximum of 6 months for the working capital, and that's for the artisanal miners, and for the small scale miners, you can get as much as 1 year actually. Under the managed funds, we also have Nigerian Content Intervention Fund. This is basically targeting indigenous oil and gas industry players. Now, there is a whole range of players. It's not just restricted to those that are maybe doing any form of extraction or construction or refining or whatever. It goes from, even if you want to refinance your current loan debt, or if you want to do contract finance, or if you're manufacturing, asset acquisition, community contract, anything. It's quite broad-ranging, and it's usually available to those that are contributors to the Nigerian Content Development Fund. Again, the terms and conditions are very good. You can access both term loan, working capital, or even leasing facility, as well as discounting. Single obligor limit ranges from $5 million for the contract finance to $10 million for refinancing, and 20 million naira for those that are doing community contractors finance. Pricing is about 8%. A community financing bit is about 5% per annum, and you can have it up to 5 years with up to 1 year moratorium as well. Having gone through some of these funds, both internal and external to BOI, it will be interesting to also look at what our customers are saying, not just what people perceive BOI to be. So if you look at some of the comments that we're getting from our customers, Mr. Abumajid Ibrahim, who is the MD CEO, Alpha Multi Concepts Limited, he was surprised. He was basically referred by a friend to come to BOI, that there's no discrimination, gender, tribe, or whatever. And within a short period, he got the loan. He's very pleased with how he's doing. And his only advice is that once you abide by the requirements of the bank, you won't have any issue, which is true. For the most part, our requirements are statutory. Other than the security are required to provide, most of the other documents you should actually have as part of your normal ongoing business process. The challenge or issue with some of our customers some of the times because they don't keep their books and they don't have some of their statutory documents complete. And our customer, Bolanda Austin Peters, the MDC of Terra Culture, said that we need to have our own space because the cost of moving place around is really high. Moving place, basically. So we approached the Bank of Industry, who granted us a loan, and it was because of that I was able to complete Terra Culture. We all know Terra Culture Arena. It's one of the more lively event centers in Lagos that we visit. We are financing such as well. And to just take one more customer, Chidro Kendode, who is the admin manager for GU Ebeko Industries Limited, he said through the BOI loan, we're able to expand to a 2-hectare property from 800 square meters. We have 17 production lines. When we started, we were working with just 40 people. Now we have more than 400 people employed. Again, BOI, we're a development finance agency. Our motivations or our mandate is not merely profit making, but trying to make sure that we create jobs. We support what we call the real sectors of the economy, whereby we don't just give you money for you to doing stuff for your own, but we'll give you money to encourage you to employ other people, to expand your business, to help grow the economy, and make sure that you're helping to grow the GDP of the country as well. So at this point, thank you very much. We are open to any questions you may have, and we're all available to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uche. I mean, that was a fantastic presentation. I want to thank all of my colleagues for their wonderful contributions to this presentation. Even though I'm a part of BOI, I'm excited listening to everything that has been said and just understanding what the opportunities are for our entrepreneurs. So before we go to Q&A, we would like to launch the polls. Dr. Alabi, can we launch the polls now?
Yes, please, we can. And then immediately after the polls, then we can move to question and answer.
Thank you very much. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon once again to all participants. As you've been told earlier on, this will help the Bank of Industry to help collate the data to see how best to service the industry. And we would appreciate if you can please join in the poll, participate, and just click. Very straightforward and easy to answer questions. Thank you very much for your participation. Already we have participants who have finished answering questions from the poll. So we encourage other participants to please go through the poll and then let us have your responses. Once again, thank you to all who have participated. Once again, a wonderful afternoon to everyone, all our participants and our panelists and those who have presented. At this point, we would like to move straight to the Q&A session. And we have so many questions here, and I'm sure Mr. Shitu, Mrs. Akinlui, and Mr. Osa, and also Mr. Unwachuku are all ready because the participants are fired up and they have questions for us. Well, the first one I have here, which is coming from Patience Ode. Patience Ode said, I hope the info pack will be shared to attendees. It's very informative. Thank you very much for that comment. I saw someone earlier on was asking a question about the facility that you give in Borno State, Meduguri precisely, that is it only for indigenes, residents and indigenes of Meduguri, or is open to all? And the person would like you to explain how that particular facility is administered and the processes involved in it. Or does it have any religious bias according to the person asking the question? So can we answer that?
Dr. Shegun,
Yes, sir.
I have actually responded to that comment because I was responding to some of the questions in the chat room.
Oh,
That position is not correct. And I,
okay.
in fact, put my telephone number in the chat. I've requested that the person should go to the state office to make inquiry, and if she's not satisfied, you call me. It is not
Okay.
correct. Our products are for Nigerians. And the way we support businesses, we do not look at where you come from. What we look at in terms of guiding our operation is where the business is located. There is no part of our form that has religion and state of origin. We don't have that in our form. It's not a requirement for BOI. What we have is a business address. Where are you located so that we can visit the place? Then the business itself, and that will check your financials. So financials and when you leave and when you set up the business is what you consider. There is no consideration for tribe and
Religion.
there's consideration for religion, please.
Great. Thank you
Thank,
very much for that
thank you.
necessary clarification that you have just made. Next, we have the next question is coming from Lami Salau. Why is there no Microsoft loan on mining entrepreneurship despite the campaigning on economic diversification, of which mining is inclusive? So,
No,
um,
we work with the ministry, and they put up a fund, I think about 5 billion, and that fund is broken down into micro and SMEs, and there'll be several sensitization on how to assess that solid minerals facility across. I'm not too sure where the person is talking from. Is he in Lagos or where is he talking from? Because I
okay.
think about 5 weeks ago, there was a program where we put together all the small scale miners. We did one in Abuja for North. We did one online, of course, for Lagos for South. And all the associations from Kwara to Ogun to Ebonyi, all the associations were invited and they participated in that seminar. I'm not too sure whether he's a member of that group. Is he a member of that solid minerals group? They have an association, small scale miners. They have an association. Is he a member of any of those associations? He needs to go and join so that I can get information as to what is happening. We have a relationship with ministry and we have fund and money beyond the ministry. And the fund is deployed for both across the segment of SME and micro. And there was a meeting, I think 5-6 weeks back, where we met with all of them to get feedback from them. And they would try in that seminar, we explain the processes. We have a group in head office that are involved in solid mineral. So it's a full-fledged division because of the priority given to that sector. We have a full-fledged division head office who are experts, who liaises with the cadastral office in Abuja, who have all the details of all the minerals in the country and all the products available in order to assess and support their mining and processing. So it depends on where he is. I don't know where it's coming from. It would be nice. Maybe off this, he can call me. I can direct him and work with him. But you need to go
Okay.
and join the association so that information, normally information goes to the association. You have to be a member of an association, an organized private sector association in the business where you are playing. So that information that goes to the center, you part of that information. But we don't know you individually, but we work with the association. So he needs to do that, but he can also call me outside this platform. We can have a conversation. Let me know where his business is located. Is he in Ogun State? Is he in Lagos? Is he in Edo? Where is business located? Then we can have discuss and see how we can provide support to him or her. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Osa.
Yeah,
This
just
next
to
question, because of our time, I think that has been exhaustively answered. Because of our time, we are trying to cover so much with the little time that we have. So the next question, I'll be directing the next question to Mrs. Akinlui, which is, kindly confirm if one-man business can enjoy loan facility under micro enterprise model. Mrs. Aderonke.
That's one-man business to the extent that you registered that business. We don't deal with individuals, as has been said, extensively. We have to work with enterprises. At the minimum, you have to be an enterprise or a limited liability company. So you must register your business. Your business must be separate from your personal accounts, and we'll be happy to engage with you.
Thank you very much. And then this will be going to Mr. Nwachuku. Can a CAC business name registered micro business in agribusiness and food processing sector access a loan from BOI? Mr. Nwachuku.
yes, of course. Yes, I can hear you. Yes, of course you can. Basically, if you're trying to register with CAC, it's either you register a business name or you incorporate it. And business name is basically the least level you can do as an entrepreneur. Once you are registered with CSC, no matter the business line, once it's consistent with what is being offered at BOI, you can go to any of the state offices and they will attend to you.
Thank you very much, sir. And the next question is going to Mr. Shitu. Is it advisable for to process BOI loans through the BDPS, the Business Development Service Providers?
Thank you, Doctor. So I think the understanding should be, why did we actually start the BDSP program? So, when it comes to the issue of you assessing loan, we decided that so that people don't just bring any form of documentation incomplete. And we have found out over time that seems to be a misconception. There's a difference for you to come to a bank and you submit just a letter of application and you believe you are done and dusted. And then you now say it has been with them for 20 months. They didn't do anything. Now, the issue of the BDSP is to kind of handhold those are prospective customers and guide them towards the issue of documentation. So that once you have all of your documentations through the assistance of the BDSP, and then we can process from that. But if you are a company or you are an individual that you have all of your documentations, you've checked through the checklist and you have done that, BOI also has the avenue to also take you on directly. But we try as much as possible to actually provide that support so that we can assist our prospective clients so that all goes well at BDSP. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. The next question.
Doctor, if I may just add to what Femi said. So
Okay.
his point really is that if you have the financial savvy, you can prepare a business plan by yourself and you can also do your documentation. You can come straight to the bank. You only need the BDSP when you know that you cannot, prepare your business plan by yourself. So it's not compulsory that you use the BDSPs. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, the question says, is there still room for BDSPs, particularly within Lagos? If so, what is the procedure of integration as a BDSP?
Okay, I'll answer that question. We're currently not admitting BDSPs at the moment, but when we decide to admit new BDSPs, it will be made public. Thank you.
Okay, someone said, I have approached the DSP appointed by you. The company prepared all the necessary documents. I have been to the banks for letter of introduction. The two banks refused on the grounds that they will not guarantee BOI loan. They will demand for collateral. It is not free. Due to this, I have not made progress on that. How do we solve this problem of banks saying they won't guarantee BOI loans?
Okay, I don't know. Let me take that.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Guarantees are collateral requirements. Collateral requirements are regulatory. The CBN, which is the umbrella supervising the financial superstructure, made provision for collateral as mandatory. The only flexibility they are allowed us to do is that you cannot lend without collateral. So even if I take personal guarantee is a form of collateral, as BOI has done for people borrowing up to 10 million naira. The other collateral requirements are standardized across all the banks. So this case now, I suspect, is that the customer actually approached the commercial bank earlier to provide bank guarantee for lending, and they secured letter of intent. So when BOI now approved the facility, he was given an offer letter. He then went to commercial bank for them to have the BG to enable disbursement take place. And maybe the commercial bank declined to issue the BG. He can go back to his state office and report what is happening so that we can look at alternative. Because as I said earlier, bank guarantee is one option. to collateralize the transaction. The second option might be legal mortgage. So if the BG option does not work, he should go back to his state manager or his project officer, have the conversation, and then provide an alternative collateral in form of a legal mortgage. What he will then do is that when he provides a legal mortgage, he will give us the documents. Because of the Land Use Act, the evidence of title today is certificate of occupancy, at least for properties after 1977. But for those before 1977, you can have deed of assignment and all those details. But whatever you give to us, we'll go and verify the title and confirm a equivalence. We'll also take the second step to use one of our credit valuers to value the property, to be sure that the value actually covers, in line with our fixed asset coverage ratio in the bank, that the collateral given to us cover the value of what you want to borrow. If that is done, that request will now be represented to change from bank guarantee as collateral as approved to legal mortgage. And commercial banks, in deciding whether to give or not to give you, they are also checking your turnover, they are also checking your business, they are also checking the risk level, and also checking your operation. In this case now, when you say the commercial bank don't agree, I don't know the bank in question. I also know the customer in question, but I can say for free that that particular bank would have also issued bills to the bank in other transactions. You understand? If he calls the name of the commercial bank now, I can tell you one or two customers that have got BG from that particular customer. So I think for that particular bank. So I think the issue is the customer. He needs to go and do this assessment again, so that if he cannot get the BG from a particular bank, he can go to another bank to get the same instrument. Or he can come to BOI to give us an alternative collateral in form of either all asset debenture or legal mortgage. So he needs to do more conversation. You need to talk to the project officer. You need to visit the state office where the project was approved. Because if we don't want to give you the money, why do you approve the facility? There's a process before that thing gets to management committee. So much has been done. The project officer has done so much work. He has got information from you. He has done analysis. He has presented for a committee to defend it, and it's approved. If you don't file later. So if the bank did not give you the BG, you should come back and say, okay, fine. Now that the BG don't come from this bank, what are the alternatives? The alternative will be three, like the alternative. One, go to another commercial bank who will give you the BG. Two, give us the property, so that we can get a legal mortgage to cover your borrowing. Or three, let's look at your assets. So you have large asset on ground, we can value the asset and represent on all asset debenture as collateral for borrowing. But collateral is mandatory and regulatory. So we cannot borrow money without collateral. But there are options in the collateral. So I think it's left for this particular case for him to engage his project officer or the state manager.
Thank you very
so
much,
that they can work together
sir.
for a mutual solution. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. The next question is about LCCI. Immediately after the Q&A session, one of my colleagues will be presenting briefly on how to enjoy the benefits of the membership of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and I'm sure that particular question would be treated. Next, can a certificate of registration of business name qualify one for a loan under micro enterprise scheme? I think
yes.
Okay, great. So then we have the next one. My startup has been in an 18-month process with Bank of Industry, no progress. Wow. I'm sure Mr. Osa will be able to answer that question. And then
let Uche answer that question. I'm sure the project, if it's in Lagos, if the man answer that question in Lagos, Uche is in Lagos, in Ikeja.
Okay,
so that proposal should be pending with Uche. So let Uche answer that question. But I'm sure the customer need to engage. I don't think he has spoken to anybody. So let Uche answer that question,
anonymous,
please. So we need the details.
It's an anonymous.
But you know now, my brother, we are Nigerians now. Let's help ourselves. If you ask anonymous, we're a professional environment. We want to resolve the problem. So if it's anonymous, let him advise him. He should go to our office in Ikeja, number 3 Ashabi Code, very close to Alausa, not far from where LCCI is. You should go to office there and then make inquiry. Because we want to address process. It's a specific concern. I want to address it. So if it's anonymous, no problem. He doesn't want to disclose himself, but please let him go to office and let's look at the problem so that we can address it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. This person, Oyeni, said, please, I want to know if BOI does not give loans to tech organizations, as the requirements include invoice of vendors. My organization is a tech startup, and working capital shall be used for to offset or so the cost. So do you attend to tech startups?
Okay, if I may answer that. So we have found out over time that
maybe create something like governance
we
performance and results or something.
can I go on?
Please, hold on, please. Could you please mute yourself? Okay, please, Mr. Shutu, go
Okay.
on.
Okay, so we've had quite a number of tech startups coming to the bank. So we found out that the technology space is one space that we cannot ignore. Just like Mr. Yedi said, you will find out that there is quite, it is not like the normal BOI way of financing that has to do with maybe plant and machinery and all that. So what the bank has done is that we are presently working on what we call a tech fund. We are also working with this with some fund managers, and these we are almost at the conclusion space, because we have also found out that when it comes to issue of startups and tech, we found out that sometimes it is not loan that they require, sometimes it is equity. And because of that, you have to be careful. So on a case-by-case basis, we intend to take a look at all of these projects in the tech space using the tech fund and ensure that we tailor what they require to their needs. So presently, this will be done. It's almost in the final stages. And we have been told that once it is out, we'll make all the publicity and also inform LCCI as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think that already answers the next question as well from Omo Omonla. That question is similar to that, still talking about tech startups. The next question, I am a startup in fast-moving consumer goods. We produce soaps. We are registered as enterprise. Are we eligible? Because I was told you only fund limited liability companies. So, Mr. Umachuku?
Okay, I think we've addressed this a couple of times. I think we've addressed this a couple of times. If you're registered a business name, you're eligible. If you're a startup, you're eligible. And in fact, the industry, the particular customer is paying it. I mean, if you're setting up a soup production or manufacturing, you're not going to be alone. You're going to get more customers. You're going to get more laborers. You're going to get people to help drive your business, and you start doing well. You still need more money, and you're expanding your business. That's the whole idea of Bank of Industry. So it's not true. We don't fund only incorporated companies. If you register business name, you can go to any of our state offices and access these funds.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Umachuku. The next question is talking about gender sensitivity. What is the proportion of the loan given to business plans submitted by women? Mrs. Akinlui, this question is for you.
Thank you very much for that question. As I mentioned during our presentation, we actually have a team that is focused on women-owned businesses. And in BOI's books, if the shareholding structure is 51% owned by a woman, or it is managed by a woman, that's a woman-owned business. We have a gender team that will take special care of businesses owned by women. So if you have such a business, please feel free to come to us. We will look at every transaction that comes through, and we will analyze it based on the merit of the business plan.
Thank you very much. The next question is coming from Ademokun. In your opinion, why have women received lower value of loan from organizations such as BOI as against their male counterparts? I think it's part of what you just spoke about. If you can just shed a little more light on that.
So thank you very much for that question. So we wouldn't discriminate against women. That's the reason why we have, rather, we are actually pro-women. That's the reason why we have the gender team. So, but I can understand why, if you look at the ratio, perhaps more men are getting loans. It's not because the bank doesn't want to give them. I think if you look at society as a whole, you would see that women are not as empowered as they should be. And so they don't tend to have the type of collateral that they can use to support their applications. That might be the reason why. But at BOI, we don't actually discriminate against women. We actually are a pro-women bank, and we have a team that is dedicated to looking after women-owned businesses. So I hope that answers that question.
Yes, thank you very much. The next question speaks to the fact that BOI appreciates organizations to come together to form associations and cooperatives. So this person wants to know the requirements for cooperatives to access BOI facility. Can Mr. Osa take that?
Okay, I'll take that. It's the same requirement really, but you need to have it registered. And you know that cooperatives are set up for different purposes. So in some cases, you have a monoproduct cooperative society. In other cases, you have a multi-product cooperative society. But the way it works is that if you want to lend to a cooperative, then you need to have cross guarantees from members. So it also falls under the micro side, but the only difference is that there'll be cross guarantees by members, and there'll be some successful ones in the Ibadan area who have done very, very well in the Ibadan area. They're into fish. I think one or two in the Ibadan area have done very, very well. Some have not done well in Lagos, Ogun State. Some have failed, but some have only done very well. And why did they fail? They failed because of some of the things that Madam President raised in her opening remark. Issues of credit history, issue of honesty, issues of diversion, lack of integrity, lack of character. So for instance, you give a cooperative money, the president and the secretary who are signatories take the money and disappear. Then banks will not be willing to support them anymore. But when there's harmony and they work together and they actually go ahead to push the objective for which the financing was availed, and it succeeds, the banks are encouraged to do more in that threshold. We have one or two in Ibadan that did very well. We also have a lot of very bad cases in Ogun State. So we do, but that is subject to case by case. We have to do analysis, check the profile of the people who are involved in business, check their history, credit history, look at their CVs, what have they worked before, and I don't use the word integrity, but it's also confirmation that there are people you can go to bed with. Then we can proceed to actually avail them. But it's a very good model of creating funding for people, especially those in bottom of the pyramid. And the bank has done it severally and going to do it. But we're looking at people's credibility and character. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This person wants to know if BOI does trainings for business owners.
Okay, is it in terms of capacity building?
Yes, for business owners, yes.
Well, we do that through our BDSPs. And then this kind of environment forum, for instance, why are we here? We're here because the bank mandates us to participate in such events. So we work with organized private sectors. MAN event we attend, NASME event we attend the trade fairs, we attend different programs organized by organized private sector. So we think that if you are part of any business, you should join that association or that trade group, so that when they're having programs like this, we are mandated by management to participate, because it's an opportunity to sell what we do and get people to understand what we do, and also look at their checklist to enable many people, many Nigerians, to access funding from the bank. So we participate. What we are doing now is a bit of capacity building. So we do that generally across board, but I would advise the person to please join and organize a private sector, so that those bodies normally we from time to time engage the bank at the top level, and then we then go to participate in their programs. By so doing, we are selling our product and also doing a bit of capacity building to other customers or will be customers of the bank. Thank you.
Okay, and in addition to that as well, I know Bank of Industry attends the annual Lagos International Trade Fair, and this year's one will be coming up as usual, first Friday of November, and I hope to see Mr. Osa, Mr. Shitu, Mrs. Akinlui, and Mr. Nwachuku. Please plan to attend. Your clients, customers are readily available at the fair, just as an information to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
the next question is the Creative Industry Fund still running? If yes, what are the requirements?
So I'll just answer that question. Yes, we have funds for the creative industry, and I think I answered it already in the questions that have come through. Please just reach out to us. We will, take the necessary next steps together.
Okay, and then we have this coming from an anonymous attendee. What is the requirement for a startup company when it comes to audited account statements?
When you are a new company, when you are starting up, you won't have any. And Mr. Barrow mentioned that earlier. We can work with your business statement if the business is less than a year. And if it's a startup, which means that you haven't even started operations, then there'll be
We can
nothing.
work with State of Affairs. You need to produce State of Affairs.
Yeah.
As a new startup, in which case we are looking at the owners of the business and the skill and experience they have in the past. But we can use your, because of the financial report, for a startup. So State of Affairs is what not provided by accountants, for business that have not done more than a year of operation.
Okay, we have this coming from Rufai Uzeni. Rufai says the issue of interest is another obstacle, especially to Muslim Nigerians who are trying to access funding from BOI, and say so BOI should create a medium legally accepted in Islam to enable us access the funding. What do you have to say to this? I would like Mrs. Akinlui to please answer that.
Okay, I mean, if I understood the question, the person was asking why we don't have, loans that will cater to Muslims. If I understood that question, was that correct? Because of
That is,
the issues within the religion.
yes, on the issue of interest.
Okay, so how we've handled that, currently we don't, that is correct. We actually do provide on-lending facilities to the leading banks in Nigeria. We have facilities with Taj Bank and I think one or two others, so that they can go there and actually access funding directly, because it's not our core competence. So we'd rather give it to the experts who are, experts in non-interest banking to handle. So we actually have given money to those banks so that they can on-lend to our Muslim brothers and sisters who would like to get financing, but non-interest financing. So they can approach any of those banks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Let me add to that, Dr. Alabi.
Okay,
Rufai, my friend, how are you? You're on this platform. It's not Rufai on the Arise television, watch every day. It's good that you're asking this kind of question.
No, not Rufai. Not Rufai Oseni. Is another person entirely.
Oh, it's somebody else. Okay,
yes.
Okay. It's good. We are aware of the growing needs for people to actually have these non-interest banking products. And just today is Tuesday now, since Thursday to Sunday, when a strategy session, this matter was discussed. And the MD has given a directive as to what to do to ensure that we come up with some specific products tailoring people of the Muslim faith. So we're on it, but even now we have funds for Northeast. We have Northeast funds because of what is happening in Northeast and the crisis there. and the facilities and the terms of that funding is very cheap and flexible. So we are looking at that, but it's a new area in Nigeria, and so we want to learn, we want to create capacity internally before we fully launch out. So I think they should, for now, they can access the Northeast Fund, but we are working internally to see how we can develop some bespoke papers to focus on that segment of the market. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question says, do you provide fund for poultry farming as an agricultural value chain?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So the next one is about moratorium. Companies should be given enough time to settle and make money to start paying back, at least minimum of 12 to 24 months. What do you have to say to that? Mr. Wachuku?
Oh, we already give moratorium depending on the nature of your business and the facility you are seeking. If you are taking working capital loan now that is for 3 years, we cannot be giving you 24 months moratorium. Ideally, we'll be giving you maybe, let's say, about 6 months. But for financing of, let's say, long-term loan of, let's say, 5, 6 years, we're already giving at least 12 months moratorium. Now, moratorium is not just for, it's just on the not on the interest. And we understand that we need to give you enough time for you to be able to maybe bring in your equipment or settle properly before you start doing business and making money. We take all those into consideration before we consider the amount of moratorium we're going to give you. But for the most part, a business that within 12 months, you've not been able to settle and start operations properly and making money to repay, it will take probably a special consideration to extend the moratorium beyond 12 months. But we take a lot of things into consideration before we decide the amount of moratorium we're going to give you.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question is talking about, I'm a beneficiary of BOI loan and less than 5 million, but it took me more than 9 months to the extent that I have deployed my funds to start up construction of 2 smoking clean for fish. Please, what can the bank do to reduce these bottlenecks? As you have rightly said, majority of Nigerians are within the limit of less than 10 million. Thank you. That is coming from Dr. Sambo.
Okay.
So if I can answer that question, I think there are two, I would look at it from two perspectives. Sometimes the loan application process extends to that, that length of time because all of the initial documentation was not in place, which is why we advise that when you're coming in, just go through all the standardized checklist and make sure that you have everything there. That's one. But the second thing that I would also say in response to your question is that, just like Mr. Barrow said, last weekend we were at a strategy retreat and we were basically addressing some of the things that have come to our notice. So we're constantly looking at our processes, we're looking at process automation, and we're just trying to make sure that we are serving you as efficiently as possible. So that shouldn't happen going forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Then, well, Madam Akin Louis, is it possible for us to have these presentation slides?
We will share, we'll engage internally and share afterwards.
Okay, thank you very much. Then we have another question coming from Comfort Ngozi. Please, how much will I be paying monthly if I'm giving 10 million naira? Yes, Mr. Nwachuku?
Okay, before Nwachuku, I mean, it would be on your offer letter, so you would know what you were getting to before you get to the point of your offer letter. But I'll hand over to Uche to give you specific information.
Yes. Again, it depends on multiple factors, including the interest rate for which you are offered the loan. Let's just say it will be defined off the top of my head. If you are taking 10 million at 10% interest rate, it means that within a year, the interest they are going to pay us, if you are still under moratorium, is let's say 1 million, of which if you divide it by 12 months, it comes to under 100,000 per month. But that's on interest. And again, after your moratorium, you now start repaying the capital, and it depends on how many years again the loan has been offered. If it's 4 years, if it's 3 years. But the important thing is that before you are disbursed the loan, you have your offer letter for which all the terms and conditions are listed clearly, and you see the amounts you'll be repaying per month. One thing you can be sure of is that the interest rates at BOI are way below industry rates, and we don't expect to probably get anything better in any commercial bank or any other DFI for that matter in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nwachukwu. This next question says, I'm a Nigerian who lives in the UK. Do we have facility for Nigerians in diaspora? Since you said BOI serves all Nigerians. Mr. Osa? Is Mr.
Okay,
Osa?
those guys are abroad. They should be giving us money now. They don't want to borrow money from Nigeria and convert it to pound sterling.
Mr. Osa, they are also Nigerians like you and I.
No, let me explain. What I expect them to remit money home, diaspora remittance, and there are discussions in that area whether we can have a diaspora fund. Because ordinarily, we deal in Naira here. If we want to fund a project abroad, it means that the Naira will have to convert it to pounds or dollars at 500 and something. That would be fairly difficult. I think diaspora people abroad should focus on what to do to build up Nigeria by remitting some extra they have to Nigeria. India, for instance, the bulk of their FX is coming from foreign remittances. Even in Nigeria, from CBN record, Nigeria remits about $28 billion every year, foreign home remittances, which is even bigger than what you get from oil. So I think that is the area we should be looking at. But if you want to do business in Nigeria, I know that people are scared because they are away. They don't know what's happening in Nigeria. They don't have done that. You can have a conversation with us. You can work with one of our BDSPs who we've accredited, and you can also work with organized private sectors to see areas of interest.
Mr. Osa?
Yes, please.
Okay, your network was unstable at Yes, we can hear you now.
Sorry. I'm saying that it should be the other way around, really, because we cannot be funding projects outside Nigeria. We're a Nigerian company. We are owned by the federal government and are managed to fund projects in Nigeria. So even if you're abroad, we may not be able to provide facilities for you abroad. However, you can turn the thing around to say you want to come and set up business in Nigeria because you are earning pound sterling or dollars. You can then talk to Dr. Alabi or talk to your brother, to your sister, your business partner who is in Nigeria to initiate the business so you can have equity. You can come in once in a while to supervise it, with the person on ground being the person running it. Then it is that company registered in Nigeria that we can fund. We cannot fund company registered in America or registered in the UK. That is not a mandate. We have to fund businesses in Nigeria only, not businesses abroad. So he should bring money from a partnership somewhere in Nigeria who can start a business here. Then that business can then apply to BOI for financial support. Thank you.
Very, very well said. Well said. Thank you, Mr. Osa.
So, Doctor.
Okay, Mr. Shitu, you want to
Yes,
add?
please. Just in addition to what my senior colleague has said, we've had situations where Nigerians in diaspora have actually come to the bank. And so what we have actually observed is that they come in and we found out that they don't have any form of roots in the country. So when we're actually asking them for documentations and all that. We found out that some of them don't have that. So my advice to Mr. Ismail is that we do encourage our Nigerians in diaspora to please come home. But one of the things we would like them also to do is that they will also need to come, and just like Mr. Barrow said, they have to try as much as possible to be physically present in the country, have the basic documentations for them to do business here. Well, I had a similar experience of having a Nigerian saying that they don't have any accounts, no credit history in the country, and they were presenting to me their credit history in America. It might be fine in America, but when you get to Nigeria, we want you also to have some form of credit history with us. And if it's going to be a startup, we are saying that you partner with Nigerians that you can trust, and then you have like an established root cause so that we can all work together. But one of the things we would like to let it be a takeaway here is that we do encourage Nigerians in the diaspora to come home and establish businesses. Thank you.
Thank you for that intervention. The next question is coming from Babatunde. He said, any facility for an educational or training service firm with good monthly revenue, employed like 5 staff? Do you have any facility for an educational or training service firm? Mrs. Akinleyi, would you like to go for that?
It sounds like, thank you. It sounds like, he's a services rendering company. And right now, and as we have mentioned, what we typically do is that we try to support the real sector in the sense that we want to make sure that we're financing, equipment and providing working capital. Now, notwithstanding, as we have mentioned extensively, we are beginning to, we're basically relooking at our strategy and trying to decide whether or not, the bank should start to focus on those who are service providers. But for now, what we typically do, so if he's providing educational service and he needs to buy equipment, that would fly. I hope that answers that question. Education is one of the sectors that we cover as well. I covered that in my presentation. So if he's buying equipment, that's fine. But if he's not buying equipment, then maybe we should just engage directly. He can reach out to us and we'll look at the peculiar situation of his own company. Thank you. You're muted, sir.
Thank you, Mrs. Akinleyi. Next, please, someone is asking us to, okay, the slides will be shared. Mrs. Akinleyi has already promised, so we will have it. And I can also assure you that it will be readily available on our website as well. As soon as we receive it from Mrs. Akinleyi, we'll be making it available on our website, www.lagoschamber.com. Thank you for that. Also, we have a question coming from Dr. Amadi. Is the matching funds as accessible only to indigenes of the listed states, or how do you administer this matching funds?
Okay, it depends on the nature of the matching funds. And for the most parts, the state governors or the state government, they provide it quite for their own indigenes. If it's a matching fund that is provided by state, for example, let's say the state identifies cassava production or cotton production or whatever as one of their areas they have competitive advantage and they want to grow that aspect. So they provide this fund in support with BOI and encourage the indigenes to go and take up these funds to drive commercial activities in that aspect of the work. Now, again, it should also know that matching funds is not only provided by states. There are some matching funds that are also provided by individuals. I will give an example of something like the Dangote Fund. It's not specific to state. It provided 36 states of the federation. So it depends on the nature of the particular matching fund. If it's a matching fund that is specific to state and an area they have a core competitive advantage being driven by the state government, you know that it will be those particular states that should benefit from it. But if it's a matching fund that is being provided by any other agency, be it government or non-government, with emphasis around the country, then you can be able to benefit from it no matter the state you're in.
Thank you very much. We have a question here, and the question says, what is your finance structure like? Is it only debt or both debt and equity? Mr. Osa, could you please explain to us the finance structure of BOI? Is it based on debt alone or both debt and equity?
Okay, I'm not sure if Mr. Obaro is available, so I'll answer that question. And I think the question is really addressing what type of financing do we provide? Do we provide debt or equity or both? So primarily what we do provide is debt financing. And every once in a while, based on strategic decisions taken by the management, we may take an equity stake. But typically what we provide is debt financing. I hope that answers the question.
No, you are correct, Ronke. That's what I'm going to say. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. We love the synergy. The next question is, why is there, this is not a question, I guess this is challenging the status quo. Why is there no loan provision for outdoor advertising industry? Is that correct? Mrs. Akinlui?
I think Mr. Obaro should answer that question.
Okay, Mr. Obaro, over to you.
We've done some, we finance that area. We finance those areas. You see, it's a case of business justification. You know, outdoor is a very long chain because I managed Insight when I was in UVA. So I have a bit of idea of that industry. Now, it depends on what you are funding and whether you have a contract, a firm contract or not. You understand? And also technology is an area too that technology has not spared. So many things are changing, you know. So the billboard of yesterday will not be as marketable as the electronic billboard of today. So it's a function of the industry, the request, and the contract you are funding, and the location of whatever you want to do. So we fund it. In fact, we are open. It's a creative area, but we have to provide enough justification for it. We need to see the business case. Why would you put our money there? We want to be sure that when we put our money there, we'll be repaid. And in most cases, most of them runs on contract. So you have a location on your way to the airport. You want inside to put a billboard. Now, so government, you have to pay government some money to have that approval to put the billboard there. So what I'm going to fund, constructing a billboard, providing the electronic gadgets, etc. So having put money there, the next question is that how will I be paid? So where will the money come from? It's from adverts. So who are the companies who have agreed to put adverts on that billboard? So maybe say Nigerian Breweries, maybe say Coca-Cola, maybe say Nestle Food, for instance. We want to ensure, okay, what contract do you have with them and how long is it going to be? So if you have a running contract with Coca-Cola or Guinness or Nigerian Breweries for say 3 years, and you are seeking funding for 2 years, then it makes sense that within the cycle of that contract, you're going to pay at the bank. So we finance some. And as I told you, I have that very deep experience when I was in UBA because I manage Insight Communication, which one of the leaders in that subsector. So BOI is driven by you presenting a strong business case. And if you can look at it end to end, you see a very clear way of repayment, you see a very clear justification for the business, why not? Because if you're going to do that, somebody will do welding job there, who will be paid. Somebody will provide an artwork, who will be paid. Somebody will do some, whether it's a casual job or whatever, he will be paid. Maybe a security person will be there, he will be paid. Maybe the generator are going to attach to that big board, somebody will go there regularly to maintain it, to ensure it's working, supply diesel, he will be paid. So anything that can create jobs for our people, we're interested in looking at it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this juncture, I would like to say we have covered a lot of ground and most of the questions answered. Because the time is very fast against us at this point, we would like to just move straight to um, telling you about LCCI, the membership and the benefits that is available to you. So I would like to invite my colleague, Ms. Sheung Oshoni, Head of Membership, who will be taking that aspect. Sheung, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shegun. Good afternoon, Madam President. Thank you for being here. And thank you all to the team at Bank of Industry. It has been a very, very insightful and riveting session. I mean, the questions, if I look at the chat box, we have over 130 questions, but thank you. You've done such a fantastic job in addressing it. And thank you to our participants for staying through till the tail end. So primarily my role here is just to tell us about the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We are a non-for-profit institution primarily created to promote and protect the interests of the organized private sector. And one of the major ways in which we do that is through our advocacy initiatives. And of course, we have other services that we do provide to our members. As my colleague had initially alluded to, one of the major programs we have at the end of every year is the Lagos International Trade Fair, which comes up in the first week of November on a yearly basis. And this is an opportunity for our members and even non-members to network, to showcase their products and services, meet potential investors and even other business partners that can help you expand and grow your business. We even have the upcoming solar fair, which I would encourage, if you're on this platform, you're in the energy and solar industry, it is a session that you should be a part of. Now, one of the very popular questions we get more often than not is, how do I become a member of the chamber? What do I need to do and what are the requirements? Our requirements are pretty fundamental. First and foremost, you need to have a company that is registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission of Nigeria. So we need a copy of your CAC certificate. Secondly, we would need a reference letter from your bank. We would also need a reference letter from your solicitors or lawyers. In a case where you are a small organization or you are going through our mentee program, you are just starting up, you can have a financially active member of the chamber stand and endorse your form. And then, of course, we have different membership categories, which are listed on our website. We have posted that in our chat box. Just visit www.lagoschamber.com. We have our various membership categories, and we provide all these services, from connecting our members to business opportunities, business to government, discounted trainings. I mean, you are going to benefit, if you remember, you're going to benefit from the strategic partnership that we have with the Bank of Industry. So in a nutshell, those are the requirements. So I have my team member on this call, Bukola, who will share her information and also my information as well. Feel free to reach out to us to get the application form. The application form is actually live on our website. And if you have any further questions, please reach out to us. And I assure you that as a member of the Lagos Chamber, there are so many added benefits that you would get. We also help our members with giving them access to funding opportunities, as you have seen here today, and also assisting them with trade missions, inbound and outbound, those that are looking to have access to markets, both locally and internationally. So I want to thank everyone that has stuck through with us to the tail end of this session. Please ensure to visit our website, www.lagoschamber.com. Follow us on all our social media channels and platforms. And I assure you that once you become a member, it's something that you see that is of great value to you. Thank you very much. Over to you, Dr. Shed.
Thank you very much, Sheung, for that wonderful presentation. Next, we would like to, before we move the vote of thanks, we would like to ask that our panelists please put on their camera so that we can have a group photograph while the webinar is on. I would like to see Mr. Nwachukwu's face, Mr. Osa. Okay, great, great. We need to see the faces of those that will give us the money. So we need your faces. I think that's already going on right now. Also, to move the vote of thanks,
Yes.
I would like to re-invite my colleague, Sheung Oshoni, Head of Membership of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, to please move the vote of thanks. Over to you, Sheung.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shegun. First of all, I'd like to thank our president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mrs. Toki Mabubunje, for being present today and for the fantastic address. Thank you. And thank you to our leadership of the Lagos Chamber for helping us and encouraging us, obviously, to facilitate this session. And above all, I have to thank the team from the Bank of Industry, Mrs. Aderonke Akinlui, Mr. Obaro Star, Mr. Uche Chukwu, and of course, Mr. Femi Shitu, for such a fantastic session. You know, our participants didn't get enough. Because of time, obviously, we couldn't answer all the questions, you know, but we just want to say thank you for the work that you do and also helping us to, you know, support businesses with what has happened in the last 1 year to ensure that businesses thrive, to ensure that they scale. And we are looking forward to get feedback to hear that a lot of our members and even the non-members that have been a part of this session, you know, have been able to get access to the funding and, you know, their businesses are doing well. So to everyone, to our participants, we say thank you very much. We will make the presentation available. Please ensure that you visit the Bank of Industry website and you also visit the Lagos Chamber website for more information. And we assure you that your business will continue to thrive and scale. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Osa, you can unmute so that we can hear what you're saying. Mr. Obaro?
I'm only thanking all of you. You know, I thank all of you to LCCI for putting together this program. Thank you very much. Madam, thanks.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
I appreciate
much.
It, Madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the Bank
Bye-bye.
of Industry, Mrs. Adelui. Thank you so much. We're so pleased to have you,
Madam President.
And we're looking forward to more collaborations with you. Thanks a lot.
Indeed, indeed. And we're ready for
Thank you,
LCCI
everyone.
and your members. Thank you so much.
So on that note, we have come to the end of the webinar and we say, God bless you. Thank you for joining us. Bye.
God bless you. Bye. Have a great afternoon.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Sheung and Bukola, Dr. Alabi. We're very grateful for your support. Thank you. Thank you to my BOI.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Being
part of a good network of business professionals and thought leaders is all you need to take your business to the next level. At the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI, we guarantee the promotion of trade, sound business ethic, and public policy advocacy that will help your business succeed. Founded in 1888 and with over 2,500 corporate members, we offer the best networking platform for business and profitability. Come talk to us today on how to become a member of the foremost Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Nigeria and Sub-Saharan Africa. For more information, please visit our corporate headquarters at Commerce House, 1 Idowu Taylor Street, Victoria Island, Lagos, or visit our website on www.lagoschamber.com to learn more. LCCI, giving your business a voice.